All right, so last class we ended off with adding and subtracting decimals. Today we'll look at multiplying and dividing. All right, 5.3. Is that a question? I haven't posted it yet. I'll post them between tonight and tomorrow morning. Hopefully I'll get them out tonight. Yep. So if you're not watching the chat, someone asked about the lecture. So I'll be posting them either this evening or tomorrow morning. All right, Miss Miller.
I thought you posted it already. I watched it right before this class.
Oh, I did for this class? I mean, for now, is that for this week or for last week?
22nd. It was for the 22nd, the last
Oh,
class we
okay.
had.
Well, I already posted it. All right, I know I got other classes that I haven't posted, so I was assuming that if it wasn't seen, then I hadn't posted it. Thanks, I appreciate that. So yeah, so I already posted for this week. Check your Blackboard announcements because I remember whenever I shoot an email out, it's either going to be not either or. Whenever I shoot an email out to you guys, it goes to the email and it goes to your Blackboard announcements, so it should be archived there. That link. All right. But I'll most definitely be posting this one sometime today or tomorrow as well. Any other questions before we go ahead and go into 5.3? Make sure we're good on the street. All right, so let's go ahead and knock out 5.3, 5.4. All right, so whenever you're multiplying decimals, remember when adding and subtracting, we had to line our decimals up, line our place values up. We don't have to do that here. If you go to Blackboard Lab, okay, so you helping her with that? Okay, helping him with that. All right. So everybody else can see me and hear me though, right? We good? I don't want to keep rolling if that's the majority of you. I'm assuming we good. No one else is saying anything. All right. So we don't have to line up our places or use any place value holders. All we have to do is first just multiply what we see. So we have 11.914 times 0.8. So 8 times 4 is 32, carry a 3. 8 times 1 is 8, plus 3 is 11, carry a 1. 8 times 9 is 72, plus 1 is 73, carry a 7. 8 times 1 is 8, plus 7 is 15, carry a 1. 8 times 1 is 8, plus 1 is 9. So that's the first step, that you multiply it with the numbers as if there were no decimals there. Next, you count how many decimal places you have. You have 3 decimals or 3 decimal places in the first answer, first party problem, and then 1 decimal place. Add them together. That means I should have 4 decimal places in my answer. So that means my decimal will go right here. All right, and that'll be it. That's your answer. So you multiply it with the numbers as if those decimals were not there. Then count your decimal places in each number, add them together. That's how many decimal places you should have in your final answer. All right. $29.3 times 2.8. So we can set up vertically like we did the last time. So you multiply 293 plus 28. as if those decimals were not there. So 8 times 3 is 24. Carry a 2. See somebody? So I can't see the examples. Okay, if you see those examples, just remember I'm going to shoot that email out shortly, in which you'll be able to go back and review the videos. So if you want to listen along, that'd be great. But if not, I do understand. So we got 8 times 3, which is 24. Drop your 4 down, carry a 2. 8 times 9, which is 72, plus 2, that'll be 74, carry a 7. 8 times 2 is 16, plus 7 is 23. All right, so now we have this 2 that's in the next place value, so you have a 0 here that will represent that. So your 8 was in the ones place, 2 is in the 20 in the tens place, so that's why we add a 0 there. Then start with your multiplication. 9 times 3 is 6. I said 9 times 3, excuse me. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 9 is 18. Carry a 1. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. And now we go ahead and add those. We have 2344 plus 58, 60. 4 and 0 is 4. 4 plus 6 is 10. Carry a 1. 1 plus 3 is 4. 4 plus 8 is 12. Carry a 1. 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 plus 5 is 8. So we have 8,204. Now we need to see where our decimal will be. So we have a decimal in each. Add them together. That's 2 decimals. That will be in our final answer. So that's 82.04. All right. Questions. All right, we'll do at least one more like that. All right, 1.9 times 2.91. So 1 times 9 is 9. 1 times 1 is 1. Add a 0. Now we use the 9. 9 times 9 is 81. Carry a 8. 9 times 1 is 9 plus 8 is 17. Add 2 zeros because now we're in the hundreds place. In comparison to our values, that's without the decimal. And then we use the 2. 2 times 9 is 18. Carry a 1. 2 times 1 is 2 plus 1 is 3. And we're going to add those 3 numbers together. 9 plus 0 is 9. 1 plus 1 is 2. 7 plus 8, 15. Carry a 1. 1 plus 1 is 2 plus 3 is 5. Now, once again, we want to figure out where our decimal is supposed to be. One decimal here, two decimals here. That would be three decimals. Final answer. All right. Any questions? Any questions? How do you know where to move the decimal place? Move the decimals, please. So how do you know where to move the decimals space-wise? I just want to make sure I'm clear before I answer your question. When you say how do I know where to move the decimal, are you talking about in your final answer where to put the decimal, Mr. Thomas? Okay, so let me go back to the notes. So yeah, so you count how many decimals are in this number, how many decimals are in this number. So we have one in that first number, two in that second. Add them together, we have three decimal places, and that's how many places you have behind the decimal in your final answer.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, no problem. Not a problem at all. All right. Anything else before we go to one more element of multiplying your decimals? All right. I want to go for, that's fine. So if I'm multiplying by multiple of 10 or power of 10, just going to first count the number of zeros. And then move the decimal place. All right, so we'll count the number of zeros, then move the decimal to the right that many places. So when I look at this first one, we have 14.78 times 10,000. So I have four zeros. All right, so I take the decimal and move it forward to the right. If I don't have enough numbers, just like before, I use zeros as placeholders. That's my answer. Okay, Miss Millen.
So the decimals in the back, do you need to write it or no?
No, you do not. Nope. Only time you have to write a decimal is if there's something to the right of it. All right, so 064. And let's look at All right, so 0.0064, we have two decimal places here. Oh, not decimal places, sorry, two zeros. So we take that decimal, two to the right. That would be 0.64. Oh man. And last one like this. This time we have six zeros. Three numbers, then we're going to use three zeros. All right, questions on that last exercise before we look at the next one? All right. All right, so this is going to be the opposite as far as the decimal movement. When we multiply by a power of zero point 0.1 versus the power of 10, so we can count the number of decimal places. So we have to be careful here. When we're multiplying by a multiple of 10, we didn't count the one as a reason to move. Here, when we're looking at the power of zero point 0.1, that one, that's a part of your decimal places, will be counted. So if I have, and then also we're going to move to the left instead of the right. So once again, when we were dealing with tens, we will count the number of zeros. Here we are counting the number of decimal places. So there are four decimal places. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to take our decimal and move still four places to the left. Gonna have to use two placeholders. And that'll be your answer. The zero to the left of the decimal is not necessary. You don't necessarily have to use it. I always do, but the answer is still right, whether you have this zero or not. So. All right, so the next one we have 7,965.3. We're multiplying it times 0.1. That's only one decimal. So we take our 7965.3, move the decimal one place to the left. All right. And then for this last one, in power or multiple of 0.1, we have 5 decimals or 5 decimal places. So we're going to move, I might not have on the phone. One, two, three, four, five. So that should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, 7 zeros in front of that 5. You already had 2 there. Move the decimal 5 spots to the left and end up having 7 zeros. All right, questions before we look at division. All right, 30.55 divided by 13. So put the 13 on the outside of the long division symbol. Put the 30.55 under that symbol or inside that symbol. And so we look at each term or each digit individually before we add something to it. 13 does not go into 3. So that means we'll look at the 30. 13 goes into 30 2 times. 2 times 13 is 26. Then we subtract. That'll give me a 4. Your decimal should line up with the decimal in your answer. And then you bring down the next digit, which is 5. So 13 goes into 45 3 times. That's 39. 45 minus 39, 6. Bring down 5. So 65. 13 goes into 65 5 times. Remainder 0. So it's your answer. All right. Questions before we look at another one? All right, so here we have 3.5 over 4, and that's the same thing as 3.5 divided by 4. So you have your 4 sitting on the outside, 3.5 on the inside. 4 doesn't go into 3, so that would be a 0 there. Place your decimal, because like I said, they're supposed to line up. So now we're looking at 4 going into 35. 4 goes into 35 8 times. 8 times 4 is 32. Subtract. That'll be 3. Now, the way the problems normally work in your uh, math book or Math Connect Math is that if they don't tell you to round to a nearest place value, that means there is a end somewhere. And so if you get a run-on decimal, but they didn't give you directions to round, then somewhere you probably went wrong. And so the way I would gauge it is if I go out 3 decimals, 4 decimals, if I go past 4 decimals and I'm still going, but they didn't mention rounding, then somewhere I went wrong with my calculation. So this should end in 2 decimals, 3 decimals, like I said, no more than 4 if rounding is not mentioned. So just throw that out there. So, because you can always keep adding zeros if you want to keep going, which is what we're going to do right here. Add the 0 and bring it down. And then ask ourselves, how many times does 4 go into 30? That's 7 times. 7 times 4 is 28. 30 minus 28 is 2. Add another 0. Bring it down. 4 goes into 20 5 times. 5 times 4 is 20. And we're done. So that's 0.875 as an answer. All right. Good, good. All right. 1.7 divided by 30. So 30 on the outside, 1.7 on the inside. 30 doesn't go into 1. 30 doesn't go into 17, so you place a 0 there. So be careful. Make sure you are placing zeros as you move towards the right, because if 30 doesn't go into 17, it has to be recognized. There has to be a number there over that 7. And so we're going to add a 0 here, and 30 goes into 175 times, because 5 times 30 is 150. But we didn't get that until we got to 170. So be careful. You cannot put the 5 here. That's a totally different scenario, totally different situation. So a lot of people forget. So be careful. So 170 minus 150 is 20. Add a 0. 30 goes into 200 6 times. 6 times 30 is 180. I get 20. Add a 0. I get 200 again. And so what we recognize now is that we're going to get this repeated value of 6. So we can represent that as 0.056 with the bar over the 6. So make sure you don't put the bar over the 5 6, because that means 5 6s was being repeated. You just want to make sure the bar is over the 6. All right. All right. Questions before we look at another one? All right, so this time if our divisor has a decimal in it, in other words, we're starting off with 0.7 divided into 0.6, 0.56, excuse me. If we have a decimal out here, we need to take it to the right as many places as possible in order to get it all to the furthest or to the behind the rightmost digit. And whatever you do in that value, you have to do on the inside as well to keep your equivalency. So that means our new problem is 7 into 5.6. All right. So 7 doesn't go into 5, but 7 goes into 56 8 times. And that'll be an answer. All right. So the next one, 0.005, we're going to divide that into 3.1. So decimal needs to go to the right 3 spots. That means this decimal needs to go to the right 3 spots as well. Once again, use those zeros as placeholders. So we're dividing 5 into 3100. All right. So 5 doesn't go into 3, but it goes into 31 6 times. 6 times 5 is 30, which is 1. After you do your subtraction, bring down 0. 5 goes into 10 2 times. That is 0. And we still have a 0 back there, so we use that. 5 goes into 0 0 times. So our answer is 620. All right, so all right, so here we want to round the quotient to the 10th place. So since it mentions the 10th, since it mentions the 10th place, we're gonna take the answer to the 100th place. So you have to go to that next place, because remember, whenever you're going to round, you need the digit to the right. So if it was going to go to, if they ask you to round the quotient to the 100th place, that means you need to take your answer to the 1000th place. You always got to go that one extra digit to the right so that you can accurately round or properly round the place that they're asking you. All right. So first we're looking at 5.4. into 47.3. Take your decimal to the right one in both cases. So that means, go down further, 54 into 47, 473. So now we know automatically that we're going to the hundreds place. So you can really go ahead and put your decimal and your zeros because we're going to the hundreds place and we're going to stop. So once again, our answer says go to the tenths place, round to the tenths place. So we're taking our answer to the hundreds place. This answer will go further than the hundreds place, but we don't need to do that because of the directions. All right, so 54 doesn't go into 4 or 47, but it goes into 473 8 times. Let me go back. All right, 8 times 4, 32, 33, 40. So that's 432. Do your subtraction. That's 4, 10. Bring down that 0. 54 goes into 410 7 times. So that's going to be 8, 378. And do your subtraction. This is going to be 10. This will be 0. So that'll be 2. Then I have to borrow again. This will be 3. This turns into 10. And that'll be 3. So that's 32. Bring down your 0. So 320. So now we want to know how many times does 54 go into 320. And I believe that's 5 times because, yep, that'll be 4 over. So 5, 0, 5 times 5 is 20, so that's 270. And that's 50. So right now we're looking at our answer at 875. Now remember, we don't have to go any further because they want us to round our answer to the 10th place. So I'll go purple. All right, so talking about rounding that to the 10th place. That 5 tells me I can take my 7 up to 8. So that's how I have, that's why I have 8.8 as my answer. All right, questions. Um, so let's do at least one more like that. 42.68. 0.1. So we're looking at the hundredths place. So because we're looking at the hundredths place, we're going to take we answer 2,000ths place. All right, so 5.1 into 42.68. Have to move our decimal over one spot in each case. It's going to be 51. Bring it down a little further. And we'll divide that into 426.8. But we know we need to go to the thousandth place, so we need 2 more zeros to take us there. Thousandth place is 3 decimals. Those tens, hundreds, thousands. I want to round to the hundredth place, but I need that thousandth place to help me to do that. So that's why I have those 2 zeros back there. All right, so 51 doesn't go into 4 or 42, but it goes into 426. Let's see, 8 times, yep, let's go 8. 8 times 51, that'll be 8 here. 8 times 5 is 40. All right, do your subtraction. It's going to be 18, excuse me. Bring down your 8. So 51 goes into 188. 3 times. So it's 3 here. 3 times 5 is 15, so that's 153. Do your subtraction. So that'd be 5, 3. Bring down your 0. All right, then 51 goes into 350 6 times. 6 times 51, that'll be 6. 306. So that'll be 44. Bring down your 0. And then 51 goes into 440. See, 8 times again. 9 be 45. Yep, 8 again. And that'll be 408. Do your subtraction. That'll be 32, which is where we will stop. All right. So don't forget, we want to round to the hundredths place. So that's going to be 8.37 as an answer. Any questions? Questions? All right. So that's 2 sections right there. We don't have to do another one necessarily. Next class, we'll look into 5.6. 5.6 is the last section in chapter 5. So we'll probably do 5.6 and at least 6.1. We'll see. We'll see. Don't forget to try this stuff out. See if you get stuck on anything. Remember, your homework is a part of your grade, and you have your tests that are out there. Don't forget, if you were to take a test, send me your scratch work, so that I have record of you actually doing the work. Take advantage of the tests that you aren't being proctored on, so get the best grades possible on those. And yeah, don't let the stuff pile up on you. Make sure you go ahead and get in there and get the stuff knocked out. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. I think I got some emails today, so I'll take care of those before the day is out. But yeah, if you have any emails, shoot me an email. If you need help or assistance outside of class, shoot me an email so that we can set up something. Match up schedules and meet like an office hour. I won't know if you need help unless you ask. So I am here and I am available to help you guys out if you need it. But outside of that, if you are good, I am good. Are there any questions? Yes, Miss Millen. Miss Millen. I'm sorry.
Is there anything due like today?
No, not supposed to be.
Okay, I was just making
Not
sure because I
supposed.
don't see anything due.
Okay, yeah, yeah. So nothing is due right now. I haven't set any due dates just because of the craziness that's been going on with people getting dropped into class very late and all the stuff like that. It's kind of hard for me to gauge um, and hold people accountable. What I probably will do is that when we get closer to midterm grades being put in, they say, hey, you need to have done this amount of work by this point in order for me to give you an accurate midterm grade. So when we get closer to that, I'll let you guys know. But at this point, you guys need to be, trying to knock out as much as possible. The best way to gauge yourself is to look at where we are in the lectures. You want to be trying to keep up with the classroom lectures. So where we are in the lectures is where you should be near. You don't necessarily have to have like we did what sections 5.4 and 5.6 today. No, 5.4, 5.3 today. So not necessarily mean that you have to have 5.3 and 5.4 done by tomorrow, but you should be near, those sections. Maybe 5.1, 5.2 ish, something like that. So that's how you will gauge yourself and make sure you're not too far behind. Oh, you stay even though you haven't seen any examples. All right, I'm gonna make sure I shoot those videos to you. Appreciate you sticking it out. Any questions, concerns, comments before we close? Anything else? Anybody else? Not a problem, not a problem. All right, so you guys have a good weekend. Be safe. I will, like I said, shoot this email out, shoot this video link out to you. And if you have any questions, feel free to hit me up. All right. Have a great weekend. You do the same, Ms. Miller.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.